Forget the giant buildings that reach up into the sky. While humans focus on building tall structures, nature has its own quiet and skilled builders working all around us. These small animals create things so complex and well-designed that even top engineers would struggle to match them. What makes this even more amazing is that these creatures do it without tools or machines, only using their bodies, like beaks, feathers, or even saliva. Today, we're going to explore some of nature's most talented builders and their unbelievable creations. Let's start with the Baya weaver. During the rainy monsoon season in South Asia, male Baya weavers become full-time builders. Each one chooses a high, thorny branch above water to build his nest, far away from snakes and rats. He gathers long, thin strips of grass or palm leaves, each between 20 to 60 centimeters. Then, using only his beak, he weaves over 3,000 loops to make a nest that hangs like a sock. In just 8 days, he finishes the first part, called the helmet. After that, he begins showing it off, flapping his wings and singing to attract a female. If she likes it, he finishes the long tunnel at the nest's entrance. If she doesn't, he tears it down and starts all over again. He may do this up to 20 times in one season. Sometimes, dozens of these nests hang close together, all built facing away from strong southwest winds. There's an old story that says Baya weavers used to stick glowing fireflies inside their nests for light, but scientists later found they just use clay or dung to make the nest stronger. Nests built higher and on thinner branches tend to be safer and more successful. Then there's the Montezuma oropendola, a bird from Central America that makes one of the most dramatic nests in the bird world. Each female builds her own nest, using vines and plant fibers, and hangs it from thin, high branches to keep it away from predators. These hanging nests can be as short as 2 feet or as long as 6 feet, shaped like deep hanging pouches. The design helps protect her eggs from wind, rain, and climbing animals. A single tree might hold 30 of these nests, or even more than 170 in some colonies. Inside each one, the female lays 2 eggs, but usually only 1 chick survives. Nature can be beautiful, but also very harsh. Interestingly, people once said these birds build nests near hornet colonies for protection. That turned out to be mostly true. Wasps scare away cowbirds that try to lay their eggs in the oropendola nests, while the birds help keep away bees that might bother the hornets. It's a kind of natural teamwork. While the females focus on building, the males try to attract them by swinging upside down and showing off their bright yellow tails while making bubbling musical calls. Scientists who studied them called this behavior a kind of dance. Next, let's travel to the dry Kalahari Desert in Africa, where sociable weavers live. These birds build not just for themselves, but for hundreds of others. Their nests are huge, up to 10 feet wide and nearly as heavy as a small car. A single nest can hold 10 to 500 birds and might have 5 to 100 separate rooms inside. It looks like a big haystack resting on a tree or even a telephone pole. But it's more than just a pile of sticks. The design includes long tunnels leading to rooms that stay cool in the heat and warm during cold nights. Scientists found the inside temperature stays steady around 21 to 24 degrees Celsius, even when it's freezing outside. Some of these nests have lasted over 100 years, passed from one generation to the next. Other animals like pygmy falcons, finches, lizards, and even snakes visit or live in these nests. But the birds use sharp sticks to defend their tunnels, making it tough for snakes to steal eggs. Local stories say these glowing nests are sacred, and in a way, they are symbols of survival and community. Now imagine a bird that builds using its own spit. That's what the cave swiftlet does. These birds live in dark caves in Southeast Asia. They can't use twigs or grass, so they use their saliva to build their nests. The bird chooses a high spot on a cave wall and takes about 35 days to build a small cup-shaped nest, about 8 centimeters wide. Each one weighs only 6 grams but is strong enough to hold 2 adults and 2 eggs. In some caves, like those in Borneo, thousands of nests cling to the stone walls like white flowers. People have collected these nests for hundreds of years to make bird's nest soup, once believed to give health and power. Some myths say red nests are more powerful, but the red color is actually caused by acid from bat droppings. What makes these nests so special is the saliva itself. It has rare proteins and minerals that act like natural glue. Scientists are still trying to study it. But over-collecting once caused a big drop in swiftlet numbers. Fortunately, after certain caves were protected from 2000 to 2008, the number of birds began to rise again by almost 40%. This shows how important it is to protect, not just take from nature. Another amazing bird, the ovenbird, builds right on the forest floor instead of in trees or cliffs. Found in North American forests, the female ovenbird clears an area of leaves and then builds a round, dome-shaped nest that looks like a small oven. It takes her about 5 days to finish it using grass, bark, animal hair, and twigs. The nest is about 13 centimeters tall and 23 centimeters wide, with a soft cup inside for her speckled eggs. The entrance is hidden on the side, usually downhill, making it hard for snakes or chipmunks to find. If a predator gets too close, the mother pretends to be hurt and leads the danger away from the nest. She lays 3 to 6 eggs, and after they hatch, the chicks stay with her for about a month. Each ovenbird nest is unique, and no two are exactly the same. Even the poet Robert Frost once wrote about the ovenbird. In some parts of Argentina, people believe harming one of these nests brings bad luck, so they protect them and sometimes even build their homes nearby for good fortune. Finally, let's look at a master of teamwork, the cliff swallow. These birds don't build alone. They create whole mud cities, collecting up to 1,200 tiny pellets of mud in their beaks. They shape each nest into a pod with a narrow entrance, almost like a clay bottle. The finished nest is about 8 inches wide and 4 inches tall. These nests provide protection from heat and enemies. But what really makes cliff swallows special is how they live together. Under bridges, cliffs, and buildings, you can find thousands of nests all packed together. Both the male and female work together to build, care for eggs, and feed the chicks. Each nest is lined with feathers and grass, and the chicks grow for about 3 weeks before leaving. However, not all birds play fair. Some females lay their eggs in other birds' nests, a sneaky behavior called brood parasitism. These incredible bird builders show us that architecture isn't just for people. In nature, even the smallest creatures use intelligence, creativity, and teamwork to build homes that protect, support, and amaze. Some people used to think these nests were just weak piles of mud that would easily break in the rain. But that's not true at all. These nests are carefully designed with balance and accuracy. Their shape has been perfected over time, and even scientific studies show that their center of gravity is so well placed that they stay firm like tiny fortresses. It's like nature invented 3D printing. Now let's take a look at the wood stork, a large bird that builds impressive nests in swampy areas. These birds stand over 3 feet tall and create wide platform nests that can be as big as 5 feet across. They build these high up in trees, just above water. Both the male and female stork work quickly, gathering sticks and leaves and finishing their nest in just 2 or 3 days. They even line the nest with fresh green leaves, which are sealed in place using their own droppings, adding extra strength. These nests are usually part of large groups called rookeries, where dozens of nests are built close together, safely above 3 to 5 feet of swamp water. This height helps protect the nests from animals like raccoons. Each pair lays between 2 and 5 eggs, and the chicks hatch after about 30 days. The baby birds are very small at birth, weighing just 57 grams, but they grow fast with constant care from both parents for nearly 2 months. Long ago, people confused the wood stork with the white stork and thought they both delivered babies. In truth, these birds deliver fish to their young and can catch them incredibly fast by snapping their bills shut in a blink. Another fascinating bird is the Penduline tit. It's small, only a few inches long, but it creates a very complex nest that hangs from a tree like a swinging pouch. The male bird builds this nest using soft materials like wool, plant fibers, and spider silk. The shape is like a pear, and the inside is full of clever tricks. There's a fake entrance that leads nowhere and a real entrance hidden behind a flap made of spiderweb. This smart design keeps the nest safe and warm. Some types of Penduline tits even make two separate chambers, one to confuse predators and one to protect the eggs. These nests are around 20 centimeters tall and can hold up to 9 eggs. Bigger nests with thicker walls keep the eggs warmer, and female birds prefer to choose males that build better, stronger nests. The entire building process takes about a week. Once the nest is used, it's never reused, but the birds often return to the same tree year after year. People once admired these nests so much that they even used them to make slippers and pouches. Next, we look at flamingos, bright pink birds with long legs that love the mud. Flamingos don't just stand in shallow water, they actually use the mud to build their nests. A pair of flamingos will use their beaks and feet to shape a tall cone from wet mud. This cone stands about 45 centimeters high and is just as wide at the base. At the top is a small dip where they place a single, large egg. The height of the nest helps in many ways. It keeps the egg dry during sudden rain or floods and helps cool it down in the heat, as moisture evaporating from the mud keeps it cooler, like nature's air conditioner. Flamingos build these nests very close to each other, less than a meter apart, forming a tight cluster in what's called a flamboyance. When the chick hatches, it stays on the top of the nest for about a week before joining a group of other young flamingos in what is basically bird daycare. Both parents take turns feeding it a special food called crop milk, which is rich in fat and protein. Some people used to think flamingos build their nests from twigs or even metal. This isn't true. They only use mud, shaped with care and instinct. Finally, let's talk about woodpeckers. These birds are like natural carpenters or builders. They don't build with sticks or mud. Instead, they carve their nests directly into the trunks of trees. Their strong beaks and specially designed skulls allow them to hammer away at wood without injury. A typical woodpecker nest starts with a small hole on the outside that leads into a deep hollow space, sometimes as deep as 24 centimeters. They choose trees with soft inner wood and harder outer bark, making them easier to dig into but still strong on the outside. Building a nest can take a couple of weeks or, in some cases, several years, depending on the type of woodpecker. One species, the red-cockaded woodpecker, makes its nest in living pine trees and returns to work on it across many seasons. Inside the nest, the bird lays 3 to 6 shiny white eggs on a bed of wood chips. They don't use any grass or twigs, just the pieces of wood they chip away while making the nest. It's a mix of strength, precision, and natural engineering that's hard to beat. Even though there's an old myth that woodpeckers damage trees, it's not true. They actually help forests. The holes they create become homes for many other animals. Owls, bats, insects, and even other birds move into abandoned woodpecker nests. Scientists call this the nest web, and woodpeckers are the engineers of it. In fact, their bodies are so well adapted to their work that they've inspired human inventions, like camera shock systems and protective padding in helmets. Switching from wood to woven grass, the southern masked weaver is a master builder. During breeding season, from September to January, the male bird becomes a tireless worker. He can make up to 25 nests in one season, each taking about 5 days to finish. It all starts when he ties a single piece of grass onto a sturdy branch. From there, he weaves an oval-shaped dome about 20 to 25 centimeters wide. He uses reeds, palm leaves, or long grass, and always places the entrance at the bottom, sometimes adding a short tunnel to block predators like monkeys or snakes. Though it sways in the wind, the nest is strong, waterproof, and resistant to weather. Once the nest is finished, the male performs a little show, fluttering his wings, singing, and trying to attract a female. If she likes the nest, she moves in and lines it with feathers and soft grass. If she doesn't, the male tears it down and starts again. To protect their eggs from imposters like the parasitic cuckoo, weavers have unique egg colors that help females tell which ones are theirs. Studies from the University of Edinburgh found that males get better at building over time. They learn to weave more tightly and waste fewer materials. But if weaver nests are all about skill and style, the next bird, the hammerkop, is about size and strength. This bird builds enormous dome-shaped nests using up to 8,000 pieces of material like twigs, grass, mud, and even bits of plastic or cloth. The final structure can be up to 2 meters wide and tall, weighing between 25 to 50 kilograms. It starts with a flat platform, then walls are added, and finally a big roof. A 13-centimeter wide tunnel leads to a hidden inner chamber lined with mud and measuring about 50 centimeters across. It takes about 6 weeks to build, with the birds making up to 60 trips per hour when they're working fast. These nests are so strong that an adult human could sit on one without breaking it. And they don't just house hammerkops. Other animals like owls, kestrels, ducks, snakes, and squirrels use them too. That's why hammerkops are known as ecosystem engineers. In East Africa, people believe it brings bad luck to disturb one of these nests. Myths say it could bring lightning or disease, and whether true or not, the belief has helped protect them. Now meet the European bee-eater, a colorful bird with a unique way of nesting. Instead of using branches or mud, it digs. A pair uses their beaks and feet to dig straight into sandy cliffs or riverbanks, creating tunnels that can be up to 1 meter deep. The tunnel ends in a round nesting chamber that's safely hidden. It takes about 20 days to complete a tunnel, and during early summer, hundreds or even thousands of these nests can be found close together in the same area. One long-term study found over 1,500 nests on a single cliff. Inside the burrow, the pair lays 5 to 8 white eggs, and both parents take turns incubating and feeding the chicks. Sometimes, older siblings or other relatives come back to help, which is rare in the bird world. There was once a false rumor that bee-eaters attacked beehives, but it's not true. Studies show they mostly eat wild bees, wasps, and even dangerous hornets like the invasive yellow-legged hornet, which scientists observed in 2023. The great crested grebe is another amazing builder, but its nest floats on water. This elegant bird makes a platform from reeds, twigs, and water plants. The nest is anchored to plants below the surface, so it gently floats but stays in place. When the conditions are right, the nest can be built in just a few hours. Both parents work together to shape it and make it strong enough to hold 3 or 4 eggs. These eggs start off white but turn brown from the wet nest materials. Grebes take turns incubating the eggs in shifts that last about 2 hours each. When the chicks hatch, they're covered in stripes and often ride on their parents' backs for about a week. It keeps them warm, safe, and close to their parents. There's a myth that grebes walk their eggs to shore, but it's completely false. These birds never leave the water during nesting. Their entire way of raising young depends on floating nests. In the 1800s, their head feathers were so popular in fashion that they were nearly hunted to extinction. Only 42 nesting pairs were left in the UK. Thanks to conservation groups like the RSPB, they've made a strong comeback and now thrive again. Finally, we reach the bald eagle. These birds don't just build nests, they build massive, long-lasting structures that grow bigger every year. A new nest might already be huge, about 6 feet across and 4 feet deep. But the magic happens over time. Every year, the same eagle pair returns and adds more sticks, moss, grass, or even seaweed. Over decades, the nest can grow to 9 feet wide, 20 feet deep, and weigh nearly 3 tons. One nest in Florida, built between the 1950s and 1963, still holds the world record. Eagles usually pick tall trees between 60 and 200 feet high near lakes or rivers filled with fish. The nest is shaped like an upside-down wine glass, with deep sides and a soft middle where the eggs stay safe. Studies in the upper Mississippi between 1990 and 2012 showed that eagles choose trees with strong branches and close access to water. Some pairs stay loyal to the same nest for over 50 years. There's even a myth that Benjamin Franklin called them lazy, but when you see the size, effort, and loyalty involved in their nesting, that idea clearly doesn't hold up. After seeing all these incredible birds and their nests, what surprised you the most? Was it the nests with fake entrances, the ones that float on water, or those that are bigger than a car? There's still so much more to learn from nature's builders. Let's keep exploring together.